Hi, so today we're going to be going over the review for test 1-2. This is going to be for the first and second page. So let's go ahead and start looking at our questions. So we have question number 1. It says circle all the numbers that are more than negative 0.77. So there's a couple ways you can do this. First, you can convert all of these to decimals, or we can have the calculator do the work for us by ordering. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up the calculator, and I'm going to go to my home screen, and I'm going to push this button right here. This button is called List in Spreadsheets. So when I open it up, I get something that looks like kind of like a grid. So what I'm going to do, the first step in ordering is we have to label cell A, and we label cell A as X. Once we're done with that, we're going to press enter and we're going to go to cell number 1. What I'm going to do is I am going to copy all of these numbers into my list in spreadsheets. So my first one is 13 over 16. So I'm going to do 13 over 16. I'm going to press enter. My next fraction is negative 15 over 16. So I'm going to use the negative symbol. I'm going to do control divide, 15 on top, 16 on the bottom. I'm going to press enter. My next number is negative 60%. So my negative symbol, 60, and then the percent symbol is right here underneath the enter button. I'm going to press enter. My next number is 85%. Enter. My next number is negative 0.95. So negative 0.95, enter. My next number is 0.77. My next number is a negative fraction, so a negative mixed number fraction. So whenever we do that, whenever we do mixed numbers, it's usually 1 plus the fraction. But with this, if you notice, there's a negative symbol right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do negative. We're going to open up a parentheses, and we're going to do 1 plus control divide, 1 on the top and 5 on the bottom. We do this, we use the parentheses because if you don't, then this is going to recognize that you want to add 1 over 5 to negative 1, and it's not the same thing as doing negative 1 and 1/5. So we're going to press enter here, and we're going to enter in our next number, which is negative square root of 2. So negative, and then the square root symbol is control, and then it's right here, x squared. If you notice that little blue square root symbol, so I got my square root symbol and the numbers 2. So negative square root of 2, and then my next number is negative 2 pi. So negative 2, and then the pi symbol is right here on the keyboard. It's right here. It's the second button, and then pi is right there. Enter. Then my last number is 2 and 1/16. So 2 plus control divide, 1 on the top, 16 on the bottom, press enter, and now all my values are in my calculator. But lastly, I have to enter in this number right here, negative 0.77. So negative 0.77. Okay, so I'm going to press enter, and then I'm going to press my on button. I'm going to go over to this button right here. It's called Data and Statistics. And as you can tell, all of my numbers are scattered everywhere. So I need to get them in order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click right here where it says click to enter a variable on the bottom, and I'm going to enter in the variable x. What it does is it rearranges all of my numbers for me. And my first step is going to be to identify where negative 0.77 is. So I'm going to say it's right here. So everything to the right of this number is greater than negative 0.77. So my first number is negative 60%, And again, our goal is to circle all the numbers that are more than negative 0.77. So that is why I'm looking to the right of it. So I'm going to go ahead and go back over here, and I'm going to circle negative 60%. Okay, now let's look at our next number. Our next number is 0.77. My next number is 85%. The next number is 13 over 16. And then my last number that is greater than negative 0.77 is 2 and 1/16. So this is this one right here. Okay, so that was question 1. So the ones I circled are numbers that are greater than negative 0.77. Okay, so that was question 1. Let's go on to question number 2. Okay, so question number 2 says Bill completed 1/16 of the test. Kirsten completed 7% of the test. AJ completed 0.08 of the test, and Philip completed 1/8 of the test. Which of the following lists the numbers in order from greatest to least by the amount completed? Okay, so again, this is going to be an ordering problem, so I'm going to go ahead and open up my calculator. And I'm going to press the on button. Every time you're going to order a new set of numbers, you need to clear out your calculator. So what you're going to do is you're going to press 1, and you don't want to save a document, so you're going to press no. What this does is it clears out your calculator. So I'm going to go ahead and press the list and spreadsheets icon, and my first step is to label cell A as X. I'm going to go down, and then I'm going to start entering in these numbers. So my first number is 1 divided by 16. My next number is 7%. Again, the percent symbol is right below the enter button. My next number is 0.08. My last number is 1/8. And then I'm going to press enter. I'm going to go ahead and press the on button, and I'm going to go over to data and statistics. All my numbers are scattered, so now I'm going to label my x-axis, and it puts the numbers in order from least to greatest for me. So our question is asking which of the following lists the students in order from greatest to least. So over here, my numbers are listed from least to greatest. So I need to start off by looking at this one right here, which is the greatest, and that is 1/8. So I need to see who completed 1/8 of their test, and that was Philip. So right now, Philip is my first person. Next, I need to look at this one, and that is 0.08. So AJ is my second person. And then I have 7%. So Kirsten is my third person, which means Bill is my fourth person. So the order should be Philip, AJ, Kirsten, and Bill. So it looks like A is going to be the right answer. Okay. C, put them in reverse order for you. So let's look at question number 3. It says, write the water levels in ascending order. If you remember, whenever we were going over ordering, ascending means to go up. So it's going to be from least to greatest. So again, I'm going to go over to my calculator. I'm going to press the on button, and I'm going to press 1. I don't want to save anything. I'm going to open up a list in spreadsheets. I'm going to label cell A, and then I'm going to start entering in these values. My first value is negative 2.15. My next value is negative 0.28. And then my next value is negative 1.25. And then lastly, my last number is 0.09. I'm going to press enter. I'm going to press the on button. I'm going to go over to data and statistics, and then I'm going to label my x-axis. Okay, so this put them in least to greatest for me. So again, ascending order means to go from least to greatest. So I'm going to start off right here with my lowest value. So my lowest value is negative 2.15. So it says to write the water levels. So negative 2.15. 0.15. And then my next value is going to be negative 1.25. Okay, my next value is going to be negative 0.28 or negative 0.28. And then lastly, it's going to be 0.09. Okay, so we just listed these water levels from ascending order or least to greatest. Okay, so that was problem 3. Let's look at problem 4. It says, name the points on the number line associated with each irrational number. So first things first, they give me a whole bunch of square roots, and my number lines are numbers. So what I got to do is I have to convert these square roots into numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press my on button and I'm going to open up a calculator window. I need to find the square root of 50, so control, and then you're going to press on x squared to get the square root, and then 50, I'm going to press enter, and it says that that is equivalent to 7.07. So 7.07. My next number is the square root of 103, so square root 103, enter, and my number is 10.15. Okay, my next number is the square root of 62, so square root of 62, I get 7.87, so 7.87. My next number is the square root of 90, I get 9.49. And then my next number is the square root of 37. I get 6.08. Okay, so now that we converted all of these to decimals, I can now look at my number line and identify which of these numbers belongs to the letter. So B is around 6, so my B is going to belong to the square root of 37. And then I have E, and that's a little bit greater than E. So it's between the square root of 50 and the square root of 62. But the square root of 50 is 7.07, so my answer is E. I have D, and this is still in the 7s, but it's a little bit closer to 8. So it's going to be the square root of 62, so that is D. And then I have C, which is at about 9.5. So that goes to the square root of 90. And then I have A, which is greater than 10. So that's going to be at the square root of 103. Okay, so that was number 4. Let's go ahead and look at number 5. Okay, so for numbers 5 through 8, we're going to find the value of each variable. So for number 5, I have 5c plus 17 equals 5c minus 143. So right now I have variables and constants on both sides of my equation. So my first step is to identify which of these variables is smaller, 25c or 5c. 5c is smaller than 25c, so I'm going to go ahead and do the opposite. Right now this is a positive 5c, and to cancel it out, I need to subtract 5c. What I do to one side of this equal sign, I also have to do to the other. So I'm going to subtract 5c from both sides. Make sure that whenever you do this, you subtract it from the variable. I see a lot of people subtracting it from the constant. Remember, you cannot do that because you have to subtract constants from constants and variables from variables. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a line here. This cancels out. I'm just left with negative 143 on this side of my equal to sign. And then I have 25c, and I take away 5 of them. I'm left with 20c. And then I'm just going to bring down this 17, so plus 17. Okay, so my next step is to see what number is being added or subtracted to my variable. That number is 17. Right now it's being added, so I have to do the opposite, and I'm going to subtract 17 from both sides. So what that does is it cancels this out. I'm left with 20c equals 143 minus 17. If I go to my calculator, 143 minus 17, that is 126. So now that's 126. And now I need to see what number is either being multiplied or divided to my variable. And that number is 20. Right now it's being multiplied, so I have to do the opposite, and I'm going to divide by 20 on both sides. When I do that, my 20s cancel out. I'm left with C equals 126 divided by 20. I need to put this in my calculator and get the decimal equivalent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do control divide, 126 on the top, 20 on the bottom. I'm going to step out of the fraction by clicking on the right arrow, and then I'm going to use the command menu to 1. I'm going to press enter, and my number is 6.3. So this is equivalent to 6.3, so C equals 6.3. Okay, let's take a look at number 6. So for number 6, I have 3h plus 3h minus 5 equals 31. So on our quiz, I saw a lot of people subtracting this. But since it's on the same side of the equal to sign, all I'm going to do is combine like terms. So 3h plus 3h is just 6h minus 5 equals 31. Okay, now I need to see what number is being added or subtracted to my variable, and that number is 5. And right now it's being subtracted, so I have to add 5 to both sides. When I do this, this cancels out. I'm left with 6h equals 31 plus 5, which is 36. Now my next step is either to multiply or divide by the number multiplying or dividing my fraction. Right now my variable is being multiplied by 6, so I have to do the opposite, and I'm going to divide by 6. When I do that, my 6 cancels out. I'm left with h equals 36 divided by 6, which is just 6. Okay, let's look at number 7. Number 7, I have 6w minus 3 equals 4w plus 9. Again, I need to identify which of my variables is smaller. Is it 6w or 4w? 4 is smaller than 6, so I'm going to do the opposite, and I'm going to subtract 4w from both sides. This cancels out. I'm just left with 9 on this side of the equal sign. And then I have 6w take away 4w, and that is just 2w. I'm going to bring down my 3, so subtracting 3. Okay, now my next step is to see what number is being added or subtracted to my variable. That number is 3, and it's being subtracted, so I have to do the opposite, and I'm going to add 3 to both sides. When I do that, this cancels out. I'm left with 2w equals 9 plus 3, which is 12. Okay, my next step is to either multiply or divide my variable. Right now, my variable is being multiplied by 2, so I have to do the opposite, and I'm going to divide by 2. When I divide by 2, my 2's cancel out. I'm left with w equals 6. Okay, let's take a look at question number 8. Number 8, I have 2 times x plus 2 equals 5 minus x. So if we automatically know that if we see parentheses, we need to multiply by the number that is outside of the parentheses. So everything inside the parentheses is going to be multiplied by 2. So I have 2 times x, which is 2x. And then I have 2 times 2, which is 4. So 2x plus 4 equals, I'm just going to bring down this 5 minus x, so equals 5 minus x. Okay, now I need to see which of my variables is smaller. Is it 2 or negative 1? Remember, negative x is just negative 1x. Negative x is smaller than 2x, so I need to move it over to the other side. So I'm going to do the opposite, and I'm going to add x. Right here, this cancels out. I'm just left with 5. And then 2x, and I add one more x, that gives me 3x. And then I'm just going to bring down this 4, so plus 4. Okay, my next step is to see what number is being added or subtracted to my variable, and that number is 4. Right now it's being added, so I have to do the opposite, and I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. Okay, so my 4's cancel out. I'm left with 3x equals 5 minus 4, which is 1. Okay, my next step is to see what number is being added or subtracted to my, multiplied or divided to my variable. And that number is 3, so I have to do the opposite because right now it's multiplying and divide by 3. Right here, my 3's cancel out. I'm left with x equals 1 divided by 3. Whenever you convert this to a decimal, it becomes 0.33 with the repeating bar. Okay, let's take a look at question number 9. And then question 9 says, place each irrational number on the number line. So they give us a whole bunch of square roots here, and they want us to place them on this number line. So what we need to do first is we need to convert the square root of 17. So I'm going to open up my calculator, and I'm going to do Control, and I'm going to press X squared to get the square root symbol. I'm going to put 17, and I get 4.12. So here I'm going to write 4.12. Okay, now I need to convert the square root of 7. So Control X squared 7, I get 2.65. Okay, so this equals 2.65. Okay, then I have the square root of 28. So again, I'm going to press Control X squared to get the square root symbol. I'm going to enter in 28, and I get 5.29. So this equals 5.29. Okay, now I have negative square root of 2. So I'm going to first start off by putting the negative symbol. Then I'm going to do Control X squared to get my square root symbol. I'm going to put 2, and I'm going to press Enter. This is equivalent to negative 1.41. So this equals negative 1.41. Okay, my next symbol is negative square root of 18. My next number. So again, I'm going to put the negative sign. I'm going to do Control X squared to get the square root symbol, and then I'm going to put 18. When I press Enter, I get negative 4.24. Okay, so this equals negative 4.24. Okay, so now I need to place each of these on my number line. So I'm going to start off with the square root of 17. I'm going to start off at the top. So it says that this is 4.12. So I know that this number is in between 4 and 5, but it's a little bit closer to 4. So I'm going to place it right here. So this is the square root of 17. Okay. My next number is 2.65. It's the square root of 7. So I know it's in between 2 and 3. And it's a little bit more than 2.5. So I'm going to put it at about right here. Okay. That is the square root of 7. Okay. My next number is the square root of 28, which is 5.29. So I know that number is greater than 5. So I'm going to put it at about right here. And again, that is the square root of 28. Okay. Now I have negative square root of 2. And that is equivalent to negative 1.41. So I know it's going to be in between negative 1 and negative 2. And I know it's going to be a little bit less than negative 1.5. Or I'm sorry, a little bit greater than negative 1.5. So it's going to be right here. So this is negative square root of 2. Okay. Now I have the negative square root of 18. And this is equivalent to negative 4.24. So we know that that's in between negative 4 and 5, and it's a little bit closer to the negative 4 than it is negative 5. So right here I have negative 4.5, and it's in between negative 4 and negative 4.5, so it's at about right here. Okay, and this again is the negative square root of 18. Okay, Okay, so that was number 9. Let's move on to question number 10. Question number 10 says Neptune's length of revolution in Earth's years is 164.8 years. How would this length of time be represented in scientific notation? Okay, so again, scientific notation is just the short way of writing a very big or very small number. If you have a big number, then that means you're going to have a positive exponent. So right here, my number is 164.8. So that means my exponent should be positive. It should be positive. So based off of that, I should be able to eliminate D because it has a negative exponent. And then a few more things I need to mention about scientific notation. So the number, for instance, here in front of the decimal, it has to be a number 1 through 9. So that means it can't be a double digit. So that means it can't be 11, 12, 20, 30. It has to be a number 1 through 9. And that number, also notice I didn't say 0. So if this number in front of the decimal is 0, it's wrong. So going over here to answer choice B, it has 2 digits. It's the number 16. So that answer is wrong. And now I'm just left with A and C. So I have 164.8. So scientific notation, we are just physically moving this decimal place after the first non-zero number. And the first non-zero number is after the 1. So what I want to do is I want to move this decimal place here. So I'm going to move it 1, 2 spots to the left. So what this is telling me is that my number in scientific notation is 1.648 times 10 to the second power. And it's to the second power because I moved my decimal place 2 spots. Okay, so that would make our answer C. Okay, let's go on to question number 11. So number 11 says the surface gravity of Venus is estimated to be 0.91. If Venus's surface gravity is considered, how would this number be written in scientific notation? Okay, so if you remember, I just said that the number in front of the decimal place had to be a number 1 through 9. It couldn't be a single digit, and it definitely could not be 0. So automatically, I could have eliminated A and C. My number is very small, so I know that it's going to have a negative exponent. So it cannot be D either, which means our answer is B. But again, so I have started off with 0.91, and I need to place my decimal point after the first non-zero number. And that number is 9. So my new decimal place is going to go right here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to move this decimal place 1 spot over, and my decimal place, my number in scientific notation becomes 9.1 times 10 to the negative 1 power. So my answer is B. Okay, let's take a look at number 12. It says a car rental company charges a $30 base fee plus 0.25 per mile driven to rent a car. If M is the number of miles, which equation can you use to determine how many miles can be driven with a total charge of $55? Okay, so first things first, we need to go and identify our numbers. So this car company charges $30. That's just the base fee. And then that's plus 0.25 per mile. If you remember, per means multiply. Okay. And then here it is telling us that M is the number of miles. Okay. And then it says it's asking how many miles can be driven with a total charge of $55. So we know that whatever expression we get, it's going to equal $55. So right off the bat, I can eliminate D. Okay. And then here I have $30 as my base fee. So $30. And then I'm adding, so plus 0.25 per mile driven. And here it says m is the number of miles. So this can be represented as 0.25 m, which would mean the correct answer is C. A is wrong because it used the incorrect sign. It was subtracting, and we wanted to add because we wanted to know the total charge. And then with B, they placed the variable on the wrong number. They placed it with 30 whenever it should have been placed with 0.25. Okay, so again, our correct answer is C. Okay, let's go on to question number 13. Okay, question number 13 says the unit price of 1 ounce of Jif creamy peanut butter is 9.4 times 10 to the negative second power. How is this number written in standard form? Okay, so first things first, I'm going to go ahead and rewrite the number 9.4. My exponent here is telling me how many places I need to move my decimal point. Since it's a negative exponent, this negative 2 is telling me that I'm going to move my decimal place 2 spots to the left. So I'm going to go ahead and move this decimal place 1 and then 2 spots over. So my new decimal place is right here. And if there's not a number in this loop, then 0 takes its place. Okay? So now my new number is 0.094. Okay? So the correct answer is going to be C. Okay, let's take a look at number 14. Okay, so it says the diameter of Mars at its equator is 4.221 times 10 to the third mile. The diameter of Jupiter at its equator is 3.28 times 10 to the fourth mile. How much longer is the diameter of Mars than Jupiter? So this is going to be a multi-step kind of problem. So first we're going to need to convert 4.21 times 10 to the third miles into standard form. And then we're also going to need to do the same with Jupiter. Since we want to know how much longer the diameter of Mars is than Jupiter, we're going to have to find the difference between these two. So first, let's start off with 4.221 times 10 to the third. So if I have 4.221 times 10 to the third, this 3 is telling me I'm going to move my decimal point 3 times to the right since it's positive. So when I do that, I get 1, 2, 3. So my new decimal point is right here, and my new number, or my number in standard form, is 4,221. Okay, now I have the diameter of Jupiter, and it is 3.28 times 10 to the fourth. So I am going to get 3.28. And again, this 4 is telling me that I'm going to move my decimal place 4 spots to the right. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And remember, since there's no numbers in these loops, 0 is going to take its place. So my new number now is 32,800. Okay. So now that I have converted both of my numbers into standard form, I'm going to go ahead and I need to find how much longer the diameter of Mars is than Jupiter. So I'm going to subtract them. So I have 32,800 minus 4,221. Okay. So whenever I open up my calculator, I have 32,800 minus 4,221. When I press enter, I get 28,579 is the difference, which would mean D is our answer. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at question number 15. Okay, question number 15 says circle all values located between the two numbers on the number line. I have the square root of 5 over 2 and 3 squared divided by pi. And then I have all of these down here. And so there's a couple ways you can do this. You can either convert each of these to decimals and then go on from there, or we can have our calculator order it for us. I think the calculator ordering it for us is going to save us time and it's going to be more accurate. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my calculator window. I'm going to press the on button and I'm going to press 1 and I'm going to press no. Okay. First things first, I'm going to open up a list in spreadsheets window. I'm going to go up to cell A and label it as X. At this point, all of you should have your calculator in your hand following along. So now I'm going to go ahead and start entering in my numbers. So my first number, I'm going to go down to cell 1. And my first number is the square root of 5 over 2. So I'm going to do control divide. I'm going to put the square root of 5 on top. I'm going to divide that by 2. I'm going to press enter. Okay. My next number is 3 squared divided by pi. So control divide. 3 squared on top. So 3 squared. I'm going to press the down arrow to get down, and I'm going to press pi. And pi is right here. I'm going to press enter. I now have just the symbol pi. So pi, pi, enter. Okay, then I have control divide. I have pi divided by 5. So pi divided by 5, enter. And then I have 150, and then again, the percent symbol is right here underneath the enter button, and it's way over here to the right. I'm going to press enter. I have the square root of 2, so control x squared is going to give me the square root symbol. I'm going to press 2, enter. And I have the square root of 52 divided by 5. So before I can do control divide, I'm going to go ahead and do control x squared to get me my square root symbol. I'm going to do control divide, 52 on top, 5 on the bottom. I'm going to press enter. Okay. Now I have the square root of 4.2 plus 5 divided by pi. Okay. So first things first, I'm going to press control divide. I have the square root of 4.2. Before I put plus 5, I need to step out of the square root symbol. So I'm going to press the right arrow. So I'm going to put plus 5. I'm going to press the down arrow, and then I'm going to put the pi symbol. So pi. Enter. Okay. So all of my values are entered, and I'm now going to press the on button. And I'm going to go over to data and statistics. Okay, what this does is it scatters all my points for me. So I'm going to go ahead and label the x-axis. And it puts my numbers in order for me from least to greatest. So first things first, I want to see where 3 squared divided by pi is. And it's right here. So I know that these two values, pi and the square root of 52 divided by pi, those are not in between them. So I can go ahead and go over here and cross them out. So we said pi and the square root of 52 divided by 5. Okay, so now let's go back to our calculator, and we need to identify where the square root of 5 over 2 is. Okay, the square root of 5 over 2 is right here. So the square root, pi divided by 5 is not in between these two numbers. So I can also cross this one out. So then the only ones that are going to be in between are 150%, the square root of 2, and the square root of 4.2 plus 5 divided by pi. And again, if I were to go here, this was my first number, the square root of 5 over 2. If I go here, I have the square root of 2. I have 150%. And then I have the square root of 4.2 plus 5 divided by pi. And then here was my number that was 3 squared divided by pi. Okay, so that was 15. Let's go on to 16. Okay, so 16 is true or false. So I have negative 2 over 3 is less than negative 50%. So we can go ahead and convert these all into decimals. So I'm going to first convert negative 2/3. You can do this you can use ordering the data and statistics and list and spreadsheets. You can use it to do this as well. but we're gonna try this out a different way. Actually, I think that'll actually be a better way to do it. So again, this is the less than symbol and this is the greater than symbol. So let's go ahead and look at listen spreadsheets. I'm going to press on and I'm going to press new, and I don't want to save anything. So first things first, open up listen spreadsheets, go to cell A, label it as X. Now I'm going to go down to cell 1 and I have negative 2/3. Enter. I also have negative 50%. Okay, and my percent symbol is right here. I'm going to press enter. Now that I have both of these values in my calculator, I'm going to go ahead and press the on button, and I'm going to go over to this purple button called data and statistics. I'm going to label my x-axis. So this is telling me that negative 2/3, because again, here is the smaller value, here's the greater value. So negative 2/3 is less than negative 50%. So this is true. Okay, so this one I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it in my calculator by itself. Or I'm sorry, we're going to use the calculator to do this. So I have 3 divided by 8, and I want this to be a decimal. So I'm going to use the command menu. I'm going to press 2 for number and 1 to convert to decimal. I'm going to press enter, and this is telling me that the decimal equivalent is 0.375. So 0.375. Okay, and then I have 40%. You can either use the calculator to convert it for you, or you can use the Dr. Pepper method. So the Dr. Pepper method, my decimal point is right here, and with the Dr. Pepper method, it is telling me that to get from a percent to a decimal, I need to move this decimal point 2 spots to the left. So 1, 2, and I get 0.4. Okay, so now my symbol right here says greater than. So right now it is telling me that 0.375 is greater than 0.4, but we know that's not true. We know that it's less than 0.4, so this is false. Okay, now I have 6/8 is greater than 75%. Okay, so again, I'm going to go open up my calculator and I'm going to do 6/8 menu 2, 1 because I want to convert it to a decimal, and I get 0.75. So this is equal to 0.75. Okay, and then I have 75%, and again with the Dr. Pepper method, I just need to move my decimal point 2 spots to the left, and I get 0.75. Right now it has the greater than symbol, but these two to me look like they're equal to each other. So this is false. Okay, now I have 4/5 is less than negative 87.5%. Right off the bat, you should be able to tell that this is false because this is a positive number and this is a negative number. So 4/5 should be greater than negative 87.5%. This is false. If you wanted to check this in your calculator, there's also another way you can do this. You can do control divide 4/5, and then you're going to do control equal. You're going to go over to the less than symbol, and then you're going to do negative 87.5% and press enter, and it gives you false. So if I wanted to do that for all the other ones, I could do that as well. So I'm just going to do one more with you. So let's test out negative 2/3. And this right here has the symbol less than, so I'm going to bring out the less than symbol. Negative 50%. I'm going to press enter, and this returns true. This would have also been a much better way of seeing if it was true or false than converting them. But there's also this way. Okay, so let's move on to example number 17. It says find the mean absolute deviation. So it gives us 4 problems. So again, whenever we do mean absolute deviation, I always suggest that you draw a little chart here. So, and I'm just going to rewrite my numbers. So I have 27, 5, 15, and 22. Okay, so with mean absolute deviation, we have 5 steps. Our first step is to add. We're going to add all these numbers up, and then we are going to divide by the amount of numbers we just added to get that number. What we'll do whenever we get that number, we'll subtract it from each of these values. I'm going to get my number here, and I'm going to add all of them up again. Then my last step is going to be, again, to divide. So I'm going to go ahead and start by adding these up. So I'm going to pull out my calculator, and I have 27 plus 5 plus 15 plus 22, enter. My total is 69. Okay. So this is 69. Okay, so I added, and now I need to divide. So I need to divide by the amount of numbers that I added to get this number, and that number is 4. So I'm going to do 69 divided by 4. Let's see what I get. And then I'm going to use the command menu to 1. I get 17.25. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 17.25 from each of these numbers. So minus 17.25 all the way down. Okay. So 27 minus 17.25. I'm going to put that in my calculator, and I get 9.75. Okay. Let me change the color. So I get 9.75. Okay. Now I do 5 minus 17.25. And I get negative 12.25. But here we want to know the absolute value. So I'm going to drop that negative, and all I'm going to write is what was the number? All I'm going to write is 12.25. Okay. 15 minus 17.25 is just going to be, that's negative 2.25. I'm going to drop the negative symbol, and I'm just going to write 2.25. And then I have 22 minus 17.25. I'm going to go ahead and open up my calculator. So 22 minus 17.25, and I get 4.75. Okay. So now, again, we divided, we subtracted, and now we need to add again. So I'm going to add up all of these values. So I have 9.75 plus 12.25 plus 2.25 plus 4.75. I'm going to press enter, and I get 29. So my total here is 29 when I add them up. And I have to do my last step, which is going to be to divide. And I'm going to divide by the amount of numbers I just added to get this number, and that was 4. So 29 divided by 4. I'm going to go ahead and open up my calculator. So 29 divided by 4. Menu 1 for it to be a decimal, and I get 7.25. So that means that the correct answer is C, 7.25. Okay, so that was going over the review for pages 1 and 2 for our test 1-2. Stay tuned tomorrow. We'll be going over pages 3 and 4.